Yo, it's your man OG Gotti. Part 3, horrific slavery truths. Now, we always hear the stories about how the women were raped by master or the master or the overseer. Basically anybody white. But they seldomly tell you about how the men, or the bucks as they called us, were raped by the gay slave owners. That was an actual thing that actually happened. You know what I mean? Now, can you imagine being owned by your rapist? Being owned by your terrorists? Being owned by your tormentor? So if you're a black man being raped by the master, there's really nothing that you could do except giving in or die. Now, they would use this, sometimes they would use that as a form to break them in front of everybody. Let's say there's one slave who's probably looked up to or whatever, seen as a warrior or whatever. They'll bring him out in front of everybody and rape him, And, in our culture, which was completely lost on the boat ride over here, but, that's, you look frowned upon. You cannot be a man because you just been violated by another man. We were big on manhood and being men and shit like that. They took that away too. We didn't have to let them keep it, because once we gained rights and stuff, we could have, brought pieces of us, up into, pieces of our culture here too. So, when it comes to food, everyone can go back to their roots. The Latinos can they have Mexican or whatever type of Latino they happen to be. They having a dish, or the Italians, the Armenians, the Koreans, just, you know what I mean? And when you think black cuisine or black food, it's all fucking slave food. I can't believe they actually put up restaurants selling this shit. You know what I mean? That is crazy to me. And that's not ours. It's not our culture. We wasn't eating pig intestines and shit as a delicacy back in the home country. You know what I mean? And so we were raped and everything. So now that whatever we have that we think is ours, that's why we celebrate the 4th of July and whatever, because we haven't had any. And a lot of these generations, man, they came from when that's all they knew. They don't remember being brought over on the boat and all that type of shit and the uprisings and all that shit. They don't remember that. And that's another thing. They want you to believe that whites just completely dominated us, and that is not true. There were hundreds of uprisings, murders. Google Nat Turner. Not everyone sat down and took it. Not everyone sat down and took it. That's why they went to the lengths that they did to break us and to strip us of any right. They didn't even want you to read. Although you didn't know the language, they still didn't want you to learn how to read, unless it was the Bible. I'll be back to, kick more stuff on y'all, man. But y'all think about this stuff, man. I don't want y'all to forget what happened to us here and let them whitewash it or dumb it down. And, they call the slaves immigrants and shit like that. We can't let them do that shit. They have to understand some of the anger and some of this shit. And this could be shared with white kids, too. They need to know what happened so they can understand it. Because to them, it's just like, why the fuck are you niggas mad? You know what I mean? You got W-2. You got public housing. If you're really, really poor and you have a baby by another poor guy, they got child support. If he can't pay, they lock him up. You still don't get any child support. But at least there's another black man in the system. I mean, it's a W for them. It's a double, triple loss for you. So, man, y'all got to wake up, man, and just, realize what's going on. I'm not trying to make anybody racist or nothing. I'm trying to let you see why some people feel the same, the way that they do. Especially people my age and older. That shit happens. This all didn't just come from nothing. And never forget everything that we know they taught us. That includes drive-bys, dope dealing, pimping, and murder. The way they do it. When we did it, it was, they took over tribes or whatever. But hey, and one last thing is they love to say, black people sold each other into slavery too. And that's true. And white people ain't the only people that own slaves. Black slaves, African slaves, right? But what about when y'all went back and just took everybody? Just violated any treaties that you had or any agreements that you had with these kings and these tribes and took everybody. Kings included. But that's what they get for doing business with you motherfuckers. The end of it.